Welcome to the HVAC Jerks with your hosts, Rich, Kevin, and Joe. You can email these guys at theboys@thehvacjerks.com.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the HVAC Jerks. My name is Rich. I'm here with Kevin and Joe, and we are your hosts, jerks, whatever you want to call us.
Hey.
So we're talking about what to discuss in today's program, and something came across our wires, and we wanted to talk a little bit about this gas explosion up in Massachusetts not too long ago. I think it was September 13th, 2018. I don't know if you heard about that one or not, or if you remember it, but you get stories like this every once in a while. This was especially noteworthy because there was an overpressurization of gas lines in 3 towns in Massachusetts, and it caused a few explosions and over 60 fires in homes. There were 25 people injured, and 1 person was killed when a furnace or something exploded and blew the chimney apart, and it landed on the kid's car.
Chimney is the only death recorded. Was
it's amazing.
The 18-year-old young man that
died
through a chimney.
Yeah, it's amazing that it was only 1 person killed, but the
very fortunate. They were talking the gas pressures were 12 times the normal rate.
Yeah,
and that's what do they operate at 2 psi?
Not I don't. I mean, it's normally half a pound coming in.
They operate around 2 psi. So you talk 12 times. That's 24 psi. That's an enormous.
Yeah, these
increase.
poor folks had no chance. It's something
there's no way to stop
they
that.
didn't even know was coming.
Nothing can stop.
As of the time when I looked this up, they didn't even come to a conclusion of the investigation. They say that's going to go on for a long time. But the only thing we do know is that they were changing some of the gas lines in the area from cast iron to plastic. All those new lines are medium density polyethylene pipe, and they're kind of interesting to watch them put in. I've been involved in some of those. But so anyway, we want to talk a little bit about gas today and problems and good practices and bad practices.
I'm curious on the details of how old these gas lines were.
Well, that's an old part of the state, so they're probably really old.
Has
cast
some
iron
serious history up there. So I know in our area we have gas lines that are close to 100 years old. So I can only imagine that they're in the same situation that we're in. These lines are probably designed to hold a half a pound to maybe a max of a pound and a half to 2.
Right.
As from a manufacturing standpoint, our company faces a lot of problems in New England because of the infrastructure is so old and the gas pressures vary so much. And because we're able to work with such low inches in water column, our boilers have been able to handle a lot of that when there isn't enough gas pressure during the wintertime. But it's been known in that area that the infrastructure is so weak. I'm actually surprised it took this long for this major catastrophe to happen.
I think this is fairly common in some of these older New England towns. One of the towns I was working in years ago had a chronic problem of every time you had a cold snap in January, we would get calls about people with no heat, and we would go to the houses, and entire sections of the city would have such high gas demand that the pressure was just so low in these houses they couldn't run their boilers and furnaces, and there's nothing you can do about it at that point. There just wasn't enough physical gas coming through the pipes.
Well, I mean, back to the infrastructure, where they only able to handle a half a pound. I mean, and were the pipes so weak underground, it's so antiquated that they could only run a half a pound, and that was leading to these
maybe right. So they were trying to push more.
They were trying to probably keep the pressures low and have everybody operate at a bare minimum, knowing that these pipes could not handle an adequate amount of pressure. So with that being said, what I'm not seeing in the articles that I'm looking at, they're stating that these pipes were only designed to hold a half a pound.
Could be.
We don't even operate at a half a pound here in New York. We operate at 2 pounds.
In the street.
Yeah, in the street.
Yeah.
So, half a pound in the house, yes. Most of your devices in the house are half a pound or less, or 11 inches water column if you're on LP. But what happened at the central location that caused that much pressure to shoot through residential neighborhoods?
I can't even imagine
that volume of pressure.
I would only guess if they're replacing the pipes, maybe they forgot to put a regulator in.
I mean, that's a big forgot. You know, like
How
that's
does that
not a
happen?
bad
Right, that's-
Monday. That's
yeah.
you know, holy crap, man.
Yeah.
Like
You blew up the neighborhood.
8,600 people are out of gas. Houses are on fire. It's unfortunate to say that a young man lost his life in this situation. It's very, very sad. I couldn't only imagine the family going through their situation with this. But
I'm amazed
they're
it was just
very
one.
fortunate that
Yeah.
that's all it was.
Right.
Oh my God! You can only imagine how many people have kind of gone down on this if the right time, if it was at night when everybody's home sleeping, you know, or just it blows my mind.
The underlying problem here is, though, that even though only so many homes were affected as far as exploding or some sort of damage, all the other homes that are related in this area, most of the furnace and boiler equipment out there are rated to different degrees of exposure as far as inches. And what happens is when the exposure to pressures above their maximum rating can cause significant damage to the gas valve, burner assembly, and internal gas delivery tubing, and even the vent system. So the damage is often undetectable.
Could lead to later
Even
problems.
with a visual inspection, you can't see it sometimes. Operating the boiler exposed to high pressure is potentially hazardous and not even recommended. So as we're recommending to homeowners is not to turn their boilers on. Have a serviceman come out there and
qualified
yeah.
service,
They
and
even
not just your local plumber. You get somebody that has the proper equipment, a back rack or a testo, come out there and do the proper tests on this.
In this case, they evacuated over 8,600 people, and they were saying that they weren't letting anybody back into their homes without
blame
a
'em.
representation
don't
from
blame
a
'em.
representative from the gas
actually
company.
recommending that the entire boiler be replaced. So we could also face another potential issue coming into a winter season where a lot of boiler manufacturers or furnace companies, it's like Hurricane Sandy back in New Jersey where there wasn't a hot water heater to be found anywhere because of the demand. Unfortunately, it's good for business for us, but that's not the way we're looking to do business. But certainly some things that I don't know if the public is getting brought to light on this scenario, and if they can or can't afford it, who knows what happens? They might be just going in there flipping a switch. We don't know the extent of what the gas company is doing up there. Columbia Gas has issued a warning for homeowners to actually call them first before they turn on their boilers.
Good thing it's not freezing weather either right now. I mean, that's what, for them, this is,
Right.
not an ideal situation, but an ideal time, I guess, if this were to happen.
Better time
If there
than-
was 9,000 people without heat in their
Well,
houses,
at least
there's some serious
right.
issues
At least
in
they
the
should
winter,
definitely
so-
call Columbia Gas to just make sure if their house was part of that specific pressure problem.
So what would a homeowner be looking to? Maybe let me pose this question. Not to look at their equipment, but what are they looking for in a technician, in a company that's going to come in and do the right thing? What are some of the qualifications?
First and foremost, you're looking for a company that's licensed, well respected in the community and in the area. Certainly, you has a reputation. Not one guy in a van. Especially on a subject like this, I would bring the gas company involved. They generally have trade allies who work with them, and as you are one in your area. Yep. So these people generally get vetted, and so
it's good to make sure you're dealing.
Yes, you definitely want to
deal with your local gas consumer
right.
and make sure you're getting the stuff checked out.
But you know what? I think that most homeowners just expect to deal with somebody who's a professional. They're calling a company expecting whoever they send out there to know what they're doing and to be professional. I think a lot of again, there we go again with training.
Some people still hire the old mechanic that's down the street that's still listening through a screwdriver.
Call Bob.
So,
but in a case like this,
Bob's been doing my plumbing for 87 years,
Right,
and he's a great guy, and that's awesome. But Bob's not the guy you want in this situation, especially.
He just changed my pilot light.
And I think that most homeowners in this affected area are probably a little bit weary, and are going to err on the side of caution and not call Bob.
I would hope. I highly recommend you stay away from Bob.
Yeah, simply because
sorry to all the Bobs out there, but it's just a name. I'm just using
this is taking blocks
George,
out.
Fred, whatever.
Yep.
So, and again, there's agencies out there that recommend certain people. They definitely will send their folks out from the gas companies just to make sure. Definitely do a pressure reading on the regulators and just make sure that their house wasn't in that affected area.
As far as regulators go, I mean, we can bring this right into LP too. I think a lot of guys who don't deal with LP or gas all the time are not familiar with the regulators, and I think if they don't know what they're doing with regulators, they shouldn't be looking at them. They should get the proper training before they talk about them. I mean, I see guys, when I was working in the supply house, I had guys coming to me all the time asking me what regulator they should put in.
The green one.
Yeah, the green one. The brown, should I get the green one or the brown one or the red one?
Which one?
Well, thank
And
God
they
there's
don't,
an inlet.
they don't know the difference between
Well, it
them.
has an arrow, but they still don't look at that either.
Well, we were talking about this the other day. What, the different properties of the different gases between natural gas and LP. I mean, natural gas, you get a gas leak in a house. I mean, that's bad. You certainly blow up your house in the wrong situation, but that dissipates eventually. What happens with LP?
Settles. It runs
Just
like
settles.
water.
It just fills up your basement.
It'll pull up in your basement and blow your house up from the bottom up.
Yeah. I think a
Or
lot
your
of
neighbor's house.
I'm telling you, I bet you there's 20%, maybe 30% of the technicians out there don't even know that.
Well, I'd like to hear from them all and have them prove you wrong. I hope that's not the case, because that's a lot of people out there
It is.
that are in this industry that should know the difference between those properties.
Then you get homeowners working on it too, and that's
That's a situation we don't want here. Especially So I would recommend, if as a homeowner in a situation where you're onshore or you have a Bob,
yeah.
Make sure you get somebody that's, legitimate, somebody that, like Joe said, representation, history, good reviews, or even a trade ally with your local gas company. Even if you're out of the area and you're not directly related to this situation, might not be a bad thing just to have somebody come in, do some pressure inlets, do some pressure outlets, make sure your gas valves are not damaged for whatever reason. We don't know. I wouldn't trust. And this is me personally. I wouldn't trust the gas company as far as I can throw them. So I would say just get it checked out, look at it, take the next step.
Our company actually on our website has offered our customers and their customers to be able to call into our technical support to get advice on how to handle it. Again,
that's awesome.
Yeah, my company's actually definitely recommending that the entire process
as they should. There's good customer
integrity
service
there,
and
but
integrity
but seriously, we're probably not talking to a lot of. We're probably not talking to a lot of people that are not in the industry here. So I mean, most of our audience is probably somehow related to the industry. So we're not just talking to blind homeowners that don't know anything about it.
Listeners right now.
Well, that's true. We may not have. Well, my wife's going to listen. She said my wife promised me she would listen.
Watch your tongue. Mama Dukes is listening. So no, it's a serious issue, and you're right. There's a lot of guys out there that don't know the difference, or don't even know what they're looking for, or how to check pressure inlets in and out. They always wondered what that little 1/4-inch plug was on the manifold.
Yeah.
What are these inlets and outlet ports? What do you need the Allen key for on the gas?
Well, this
valves,
was a major bone of contention with my old partner and myself, that he would take gas cavalierish, and I was absolutely petrified. And I would do everything I could to make sure that we did all the appropriate tests, everything was tight. And he was like, "What are you worried about? Yeah, we'll do a lighter test." As the old timers would, turn on the gas or run a lighter by every joint to make sure that there was no gas.
We did it with a blowtorch.
Yeah, I didn't think that was something that was friendly. And I still, because the old oil people say gas heats blocks at a time. And in this case, it's absolutely accurate. So.
When I was working in the city in Manhattan, whenever somebody in an apartment building called up because of a gas leak, if they called Con Ed, the utility, instead of calling the guy, they would shut the building down, and they would not turn the gas back on until you tested every single line in the building, which meant you had to shut everything off, disconnect every meter, disconnect every single appliance in the building, cap it off, and pressure test everything.
Who pays that?
I don't know, but that was my job. I would sit in the basement for 4 weeks just cutting nipples in the basement.
4 weeks? Oh, my God.
I mean, these things would go on for months.
Months. And who's paying that? Is there insurance for that?
The building.
Well, I believe that the gas company in this particular scenario is picking up the tab on a lot of this.
Well, in this case, yes, they better be.
Yeah.
And then some. They're going to be swapping out a lot of boilers.
They're already talking about. I don't want to get into that. I heard that there might be some changes as far as utility companies up there. I don't know. Who knows? But
so let me ask you this. My brain is turning now. Is there somebody or a manufacturer that's out there that is potentially, or maybe this even exists already and I just don't know it, making like a high volume check valve for an inlet to a house. Something like you see on water.
That's interesting, right?
Right.
Wow.
So, like a water main coming into your house. We just installed one last week that's all Wi-Fi connected.
Yeah.
There's sensors throughout. If there's a water leak and it don't stop and the sensor stays wet, it shuts the main down.
Right.
Well, on bigger boilers, you'll find high pressure switches that won't allow that extra.
Not just boilers, though. We're talking about the gas
I'm just saying in general that,
limited.
Here the complaint was that the actual gas was blowing through the joints in the pipe. So in the house, so there's no real sensor or gas line or
right, but
a check valve that's going to stop that. If a joint's letting loose, that's a problem.
It's going to be a pressure sensitive situation where if that thing sees more than 3 pounds of pressure, it's going to shut itself down. Something like that. I can't imagine that it would be on like a high volume like water. I said water, but it was just.
No, I understand.
But that would be some sort of relief valve, basically. It
could be a relief valve, maybe a something to let it loosen out. I'd rather be outside the building and set your siding on fire than blow up your entire house or.
Wouldn't you expect that the diaphragm and the regulator to blow out outside and all leak through the vent then?
In a perfect
But
scenario.
a lot of those meters were in the house, though. A lot of the meters are actually in the house still.
Well, I'm throwing it out there. I mean, food for thought. I mean, is there a way, or is there a device that that they're getting cheap and they're just not installing them, or is there something out there? I'm going to look it up. And
boiler manufacturers generally have low and high pressure valves that are able to detect when there's not enough pressure or when there's way too much, and shuts the valves down.
That's an individual appliance,
right? It's an appliance. Right. Again, it doesn't relate to the piping in the building.
I'm talking about just the main feed, all different sizes: 3-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch.
I mean, if that were the case, that check valve would be the regulator outside of the house, the pipe going in the building, and then the check valve.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah,
I mean that's where you'd have
to
put it.
Or even outside.
Right? Yeah, you just have it vented outside, right?
It's something that you get an abnormal pressure.
It'll blow out in the atmosphere out there. I mean,
something,
I don't know how good that's going to
just shut it off. Just shut it off. I mean, who cares where it's going? I'd rather it leak out in the street and come out a manhole than blow up somebody's house and kill a kid with a chimney.
Sure.
Well, this may lead to new regulations and
absolutely
installation practices. And
the equipment's changing as we speak anyway. I mean, there's a boiler manufacturer that came out not too long ago with a gas valve that determines itself whether it's what the pressure is and says this is LPU or this is natural gas.
That's
the Utica thing.
The Lambda Pro.
Lambda Pro. Yeah, Lambda Pro knows what gas you're using. But it picks up on voltage, right?
It actually there's an ionization rod that reads the flame.
Right.
Oh, really?
Reads the flame, tells you what gas you're using. Lambda Pro is pretty sharp stuff.
There's a famous German company, and it's not the blue one that has that in their boiler.
I'll tell you what it is. I've used them, and I'm very proud to use them. It's a Viessmann product that does it, and the Lambda Pro is pretty hot shit. So
cool.
But back to lack of education in this industry has led to these innovations. Because guys don't want to know that stuff, and they don't think they need to know these things.
And these valves are designed basically to take the technician out of the loop because they're self-calibrating. There's nobody setting low fire and high fire and leaving a screw loose or doing something. And I think our first tech tip of the day of our podcast.
Use your Bacharach kit.
Yeah. we want you to do combustion tests every time you install something new. And every time you go to your annual service, do a combustion test. And not only do your exhaust gas, put your probe into the intake air. Make sure that there's no recirculation of any combusted air already. So you don't have any, that's a huge problem on the new condensing boilers that are out there that take intake air into the box itself and not into the gas burner, which is not seal combustion. And a lot of times they'll reburn exhaust split out if there's some sort of leak. So
what are telltale signs that you see rust? Electrical connections
the telltale
I found
signs
rusted
are generally hard starting or a very rumble
That's in the early
start.
stages.
Right.
You see one that you open up for a first time visit.
Yeah,
you walk
I mean
in
this is really simple to detect. You use a manometer.
Water inside the shell.
Anything like that. You
Rust
check your
marks.
How many guys out there have a manometer? And if they do, they know how to use
kinds
it.
of installations. If a company, I went to a major company recently, and it's a big outfit, And I was very upset to hear that they only had one manometer, and
Between the 25 guys.
between the 85 guys,
share 'em.
and
It's a,
whenever there's an installation, somebody goes
they
out
got
and
every
does
week
it.
of the year covered. What
Right.
are you worried about?
Right. So
You know, the liability is getting to be too great, though, and it's going to start.
Well,
Eventually, it's going to come back to the technicians,
Yeah,
just
I
like
mean-
bartenders.
Yeah, right,
You
right.
can't. You start somebody that's drunk and they kill somebody that's suing you.
This is the old story: is you got to have the right equipment for the right job. And this all boils back down to our original podcast where we talked about pride and craftsmanship. If you're not going to do the job right, give it to somebody else. Let somebody else do the job, because it's not just profit; it's people's lives that are on the line.
We
You
had a
have to be able to sleep at
situation,
night.
You've mentioned his name in the last show, I believe, and I don't think it was directly related to him, but it was through that same company where someone died due to carbon monoxide.
It's a major
There was a
problem.
family that passed away because of bad
And
install
this is
or cracked
gas.
heat exchange, something to that effect.
We're
And,
still on the same subject
so-
here, because this is related to gas, right? Because
Yeah.
once gas
Gas
is
is
burned,
nasty, man. You gotta be
it goes
careful.
into the
Yeah.
next phase, and the venting issues that are not being looked at as seriously as they should be. This is a big part of these jobs. Even on old oil burners, there should be combustion air. There should be the right venting material properly used and installed.
I emphasize with my guys on every call. I don't care if it's a no heat, an annual service, whatever the situation may be. It takes 8.5 minutes to put a freaking back rack or a testo or
Exactly.
whatever brand you're using.
Exactly.
Put that thing in there, print copies, put one with your ticket, put one with the customers. We started taking those shipping labels and we would stick them on the side of the equipment, and we would leave our tags, our printouts
yeah.
in the shipping labels. So they're always on the side of the
I mean,
board.
the little envelope.
Yeah, the little envelope so you
Little
would get a
readout
return
so that the
addresses and
customer
stuff
or
like
somebody
that.
can go in and see that
yeah,
something
so
else was
they're
done.
always there. They're dated, not only for liability reasons, and I get that.
But
is
liability
a big
does
thing.
fall on the last guy that was there.
Well, you're 100% right, but it's pride in your job.
Yep.
It's knowing when you walk out of that house that what you just did is 100% accurate at that given moment. Things might change in 6 months or
Right.
3 months. You know, the husband might come home and say, "This guy's full of shit. I'm going to change the air."
Yeah.
You know, he might do something crazy. Who knows? Things have happened, right? But there could be a bird dies and gets in your chimney, changes the whole atmosphere of what's happening with your system. And the first thing they're going to do is say, "Well, I got carbon monoxide detector going off in my house, or I smell something funny, and you're the last guy. Tag, you're it.
Right.
I'm
Wait a
suing
minute.
you."
Here's something that, directly speaking to what you're saying, most homeowners discount the carbon monoxide detector because they say it's too old or the battery's no good.
Yeah, take the
And they
battery
don't-
out when it
and
starts
then they don't
screaming,
really
right.
realize there is an
Yeah.
issue. So that's the first reaction is, oh, something's wrong with the carbon monoxide detector, not that it's actually doing its
Well,
job.
to that note, to what you're saying there is, we've had that situation where people are like, "Well, I've had this carbon monoxide detector for 8 years."
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. 3 years, throw it out.
Yeah.
Home Depot buys them by the tractor trailer load.
Yep. And they're cheap.
And they're made in some other country
Yeah.
at a very low rate with very poor quality standards. I'm guaranteeing you they're not made with the highest of standards. I would trust them as far as I can throw them.
Yeah.
Buy multiples. They're $40, $45. Buy 3, buy 4, put them throughout the house. Don't rely on one. Have multiples.
There's a reason they say it's a silent killer.
I just
It
installed
is.
two in
Carbon
my
monoxide is a
mom's
serious
house.
deal.
Yeah.
Kitty's got a real nice kitty smoke alarms.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get them as a sponsor. We'll have to
Plug
talk-
there.
we'll have
That was
to
a
talk-
plug.
we'll have to
That was
talk to
a-
'em.
the shameless
Well, this
plug.
is, it's a fact.
Email us at theboys@thehvacjerks.com.
In fact, I just bought 2 of their products with a lithium battery, a 10-year long
10-year
lifespan,
life,
hard mounted, and I put it in one of the most important persons in my life, my mom's house, and I put one near the boiler room and one on the first floor where they live. So there's a redundancy.
Yep.
You're always going to want first and second.
And that's a hardwired application.
No, these are actually lithium batteries. So I will still replace it within 3 to 5 years because I don't believe in these
I
things.
wouldn't trust those. I wouldn't trust them going,
right.
4 or 5 years. Like I said, 3 to 5, you got to get rid of them. The ones I put in my house were Wi-Fi, and they all communicate to one another. So
Yeah.
you get the effect
Oh,
where
that's
if
nice.
one
Yeah.
goes off,
That's
they
cool.
communicate to all, whatever you have in the house. So they're a little bit more money. They're about $50, I think, at Home Depot.
Yeah.
I put them in my house. I love them.
Yeah.
I feel so much better knowing that my kid's bedroom's upstairs, and I got a bedroom in the basement. And,
Yep.
carbon monoxide and smoke gives
Yep.
me everything I need.
Yeah, I have both
You
as
know,
well.
so don't take this stuff lightly. Do your back rack tests. Do your efficiencies.
And please
check your chimney
the
bases.
9-volt battery. If you're going in there to do an annual inspection, hit him for the battery.
Yeah, you
Check
can charge
the
them for it
thing,
if you
charge
want.
him
Whatever,
for it.
just do it. So let me ask you this: and I haven't seen this in a long time, but I used to see this, and not just once. I've been in a house where the people had a propane-fired water heater, and they had it just vented into the basement. It did not go into the chimney. It was just open in the basement. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, multiple times.
And you tell the homeowner about it, and they say, "Well, it's
the
LP."
pipes sweat a little extra.
Yeah.
It's a little damp down
How
here.
are these
My
people not
dehumidifier
dead?
I go through 2 humidifiers every 6 months.
And you try to tell them that you can't do that. It's still products of combustion there, and they don't seem to get phased by it.
Well, that's it's an old school mentality again. The people of today.
Yeah, but then they go and foam their house, and what happens next?
Oh well, I can't imagine that somebody in the younger ages are doing that.
No, there's
But
no
they
more.
don't know.
Yeah,
They don't.
You don't see
They
that
won't.
No, they're not
They don't-
diligent. Older folks are more diligent. They know what it takes to maintain something. You can see it the way they keep their homes.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother society, and this could lead to a completely
Yeah, it's a whole
different
nother
discussion.
subject,
So we can wander off
Make a note on
gracefully.
this one. We'll have to
Yeah.
talk about this another show. So,
But definitely as an installer or as a service technician, these little things to avoid major catastrophes are a big plus. Go out there, stick your tool inside the
Stick your
combustion.
tool inside something. Yeah.
Good
Well,
advice.
see,
Stick
right
your
away,
tool
these two
in
guys
something.
go into the gutter.
Stick your tool in the hole.
The guy who wanted to come with no pants and a chicken, number one. But it's definitely wise for especially the owners of companies to enforce these things
Absolutely.
when their technicians go into the
We do
buildings.
it. We enforce it constantly. It's just good practice. It's good. It's a great habit to get into. Makes the customers feel good. I know competitors of mine that are out there that will only take that tool out. Or their
Easy.
tool.
Easy, big boy.
Only take their tool out, referring to the efficiency testers and such, for a $75 fee.
Yeah.
And I think that's absurd. To me, that is just suicide. It's ridiculous. You're not teaching your guys to do the job right. You're not interested in doing the job right.
But then we go back and talk about why nobody respects us. Nobody respects the guys in the industry. Well, this is why.
We're coming from
Because
an old history and a really weak background. You look at oil companies, and we're going to get off topic here, but another show for sure. But we're going to talk about how the oil industry damaged service.
okay.
You're going back 40 years ago, giving away service for free. If you were sitting at the end of the bar, they didn't care if you could spell your name. Can you use a 3/8 wrench
Yeah, it's
and
really
a screwdriver?
That's really an ancient industry. That is not evolved
That's-
at all.
Right. Well, those boilers are still out there. I'm
Yeah.
still pulling some out. A couple old double door American Standards that have been
yeah.
there since the 40s.
Yeah. Especially in these old towns.
Yeah, they didn't care. They were so forgiving. Those boilers. I mean, anybody could just work on them. Just look at the flame, and you're good enough. They didn't even back rack kit.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? That was gibberish.
72% efficiency, you're
Slow
good.
speed, 1725s. No end cones, open flame. The old Texaco burners. I don't know
Right.
if anybody knows the old Texaco burners with the 3-foot blast tubes.
Yeah.
We have it all up here. So
Yeah, those are readily available.
yeah,
today.
but just imagine trying to tell some guy that man, we got to get rid of this thing, and he'll tell you up and down that's the best burner ever made. So
You know what? There's an argument to be made for that. It's 40 years and it's still in the guy's
It's
house
still-
to give him
yeah,
heat.
but it
runs
It's a hard
70%
argument,
efficient. So
It doesn't matter at that point. It's still giving him heat.
Yeah.
The
two
boilers
sets of
today aren't
electrodes
designed-
in it. You got high and low, and it's just a nightmare. And efficiencies are taking over. Technology is forcing our hands to get better. Yeah. It's forcing our hands. So you were talking about mom and pop shops getting pushed out. Not all of them are going to go away. The ones that are willing to adapt and learn,
Well, those are
they're going to grow.
Those are the exceptions to the rules. There's always
there's
going to
gonna be a percentage of those.
There's
They're not
always
just
going to
gonna
be people
disappear.
undercutting, working illegally, not licensed, not taking the time.
But they'll be phased out, and like you said, technology is going to push them away.
But,
It's going to happen. We're in the midst of this right now.
To speak just for my company specifically, we're huge on training. We offer it for free. We invite people to our facilities constantly. We pay for this.
They pick up really nice hotels.
Yeah, we pay for the hotels.
food
we
is
feed
fantastic.
folks. But the idea is to know what you're doing and to be a better
Lobsters.
individual, because we want you to be the guy they call. We want you to be. Kevin's been on too many trips with me, and I've spoiled him tremendously.
Fantastic training.
But
Amazing training.
the object is be a better technician. Be a better technician than the other company that is
Be
out
the
there.
best you.
And you
Be the best
definitely.
you.
And when I give these speeches, I said this in the last podcast. I usually end, be prideful, be mindful of your job, be the guy that you know you can be, or a young lady. Hopefully, we encourage more young women to get involved in this industry. There's not enough, but it's definitely encouraging to see people are actually taking interest and want to learn and want to do the right thing.
Well, stand up for what you believe in too.
Yeah,
I mean, if you believe in doing the right thing and you're being told otherwise,
yeah,
you have
absolutely.
to stand up for what's right for you too. You know,
Sure.
and,
Especially when you know something's dangerous, and especially if it doesn't smell right, it usually isn't right.
Yeah, well, this is true. It's true. So, take pride in what you do and stand up for yourself. So, if you're out there working for somebody that's, telling you to do things bad, poorly, the wrong way,
Absolutely.
or undermining customers or deceiving customers.
Yeah, you got to live with yourself.
There's a crack in the paint on the condenser. You need a new condenser.
Yeah, this isn't
we don't want that
This
stuff.
isn't
That's bad.
World War
That's bad
II.
for our industry. It's bad for you. It's, we got to sleep at night, put our heads on our pillows. People are relying on us to be truthful and honest, and we charge enough for our services. So let's be fair.
And if you're not, you should be, right? Because you're the guys taking the time out to go do this stuff and learning and putting in the time and effort to teach your folks. And I think another encouraging thing is you're starting to see a lot of companies who will take 1 week or 1 day a month and have a training.
That's why I went into the business. I'm doing trainings now.
Right. Some ambitious employers will do
ducks in the attic.
A Monday morning or a Thursday morning or a Wednesday morning. And they'll do a specific. I know in your shop you have a little setup where you guys can learn about burner motors and do tests right there.
A little live fire burner.
Right.
I'm in the process of putting a low voltage class together right now because so many people are asking me for it. And what I'm amazed at in all the subjects that I teach in my seminars, noduckseminars.com,
Instagram.
is that
Another shameless plug.
Another shameless Instagram.
No, seriously. No, these guys are never taught the basics. They don't know the symbols on your meter to be able to test something.
That goes back to that old
It's
mentality.
amazing.
No, but I
Here's
can
a
tell
wrench and
you
go. We
what-
have insurance. I was told that by a major oil.
But what I can tell you, when I went to tech school, they never covered low voltage
They assumed-
wiring in an HVAC application. They covered.
So I got a whole class right. Yeah, that's because they assumed that you knew it. They just skipped. Right.
Yes, I used to have to wind.
Unleaded.
I used to have to wind the pump, fill the big gas ball
The glass bowl.
with fuel.
Right next to the Texaco oil burner.
Yeah, there you go.
Every week the horse would pull the wooden tank
Sure.
over and fill you up.
So hearts out to the people in Mass. Sorry to hear about that. It's a horrible situation.
Yeah, our
and
condolences to
get
all
your
the folks
stuff checked
affected.
out seriously by qualified professionals.
All right, we're getting ready to wrap it up here again. So, all right, I think that was great. We'll wrap it up and hope you all enjoyed it this time. Don't forget where you can find us. You can get our podcast anywhere, Apple, anywhere you find your podcast, you can get ours.
HVAC Jerks.
Yep. You can also get them on our website, which is www.thehvacjerks.com. If you have any questions and comments, like always, we'd love for you to email us. We want to hear what you guys think of us. And
Please be brutally honest.
yeah, tell us.
Yeah, we're not
And,
good at this. We're just winging
Tell
it.
us what you want to talk about. Give us some ideas. Tell us your funny stories. We'll talk about them on the air.
Serious stories.
You can email
Tech
us
questions.
at theboys@thehvacjerks.com.
Try
Again,
to stump us.
We'll actually try to tailor our show into what's important to you folks. So it's important that you have input and be part of the show.
Absolutely. All right, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and that's it. Have a good week.
Enjoy.
Take care.
You guys are jerks.
Follow the HVAC Jerks on Facebook and Instagram.